Most people look at their credit card and see a way to spend money. The wealthy look at the exact same card and see a cash flow engine. That single difference in perspective is quietly separating two groups of Americans, and the gap between them keeps getting wider every single year. Here's the part that gets interesting. The wealthy aren't using special cards, secret accounts, or some exclusive banking tier most people can't access. They're using the exact same credit system you already have access to right now. They're just operating it completely differently than you were ever taught. There are 7 specific credit loops built directly into how the system works, and once you understand all 7, you'll never look at a billing statement the same way again. Let's start at the foundation, because this is where most people get it completely wrong before they even swipe the card once. There are 2 fundamentally different relationships a person can have with credit. The first one is what most Americans are living inside right now. It's called the debt trap. In the debt trap, credit is a bridge between what you want and what you can afford. You spend, you carry a balance, interest compounds, and the bank wins every single month. The average American household carrying credit card debt pays over $1,000 a year in interest alone. That's not a purchase, that's a subscription to being behind. The second relationship is called the wealth loop, and the structure is almost a mirror image of the first one, except the money flows in the opposite direction. In a wealth loop, you're using the bank's money for free during a grace period, capturing rewards on spending you were already going to do, and paying 0 interest every single cycle. That's not a trick, that's just understanding the actual mechanics of how credit billing works. And the first place to start is with something called the statement date. Here's loop 1. Your credit card has 2 dates that most people confuse, the statement closing date and the payment due date. These are not the same thing, and the gap between them is your leverage. When your statement closes, whatever balance is showing gets reported to the credit bureaus. That reported number directly affects your credit utilization ratio, which drives roughly 30% of your credit score. So if you pay your balance down before the statement closes, not before the due date, before the statement date, you can report near 0 utilization every single month, even if you spend heavily. High spenders who understand this consistently show utilization under 10% while spending thousands a month. That's not luck, that's timing the system with one intentional habit. Loop 2 is about something called float. Every credit card gives a grace period between when you spend and when payment is actually due, typically 21 to 25 days. People inside the wealth loop put that spending money into a high-yield savings account the moment they swipe. Then they pay the card in full on the due date, not a day earlier. That float earns them interest on money they were going to spend anyway. At current high-yield rates, someone running $5,000 a month through this system captures real, measurable money for doing nothing extra. Now, this next one, Loop 3, is where it gets genuinely interesting, and it's one of the least discussed mechanics in personal finance. It's called balance transfer arbitrage. Occasionally, banks offer 0% promotional rates to move a balance from one card to another, sometimes for 12, 15, even 21 months. The wealthy don't use this to manage debt they already have. They use it strategically when a specific short-term investment opportunity has a return that exceeds the transfer fee, which is usually 3%. The key word is disciplined. This only works when the money has a clear destination and a clear timeline. Used without that discipline, it becomes the debt trap wearing a different name. And look, if you've made some of these mistakes before, you're in genuinely good company. The system isn't taught clearly, and most people figure it out the hard way. That changes right now. If this kind of content is useful to you, subscribing takes 1 second, and it means you'll catch every new video as soon as it drops. Now let's keep going, because Loop 4 is where the real wealth building starts. The wealthy use credit to buy assets, not vacations, not electronics. Assets, things that generate income or appreciate in value over time. Here's the specific mechanism. When you have a strong credit profile, high limit, low utilization, long history, you gain access to business credit lines at favorable terms. Business credit operates separately from personal credit in many cases. High-income earners use it to fund rental property carrying costs, inventory for a side business, or equipment that produces revenue. Then pay it down from the cash that asset generates. The credit isn't the expense. The credit is the bridge to the income-producing thing, and the income-producing thing pays the bridge back. That is the wealth loop running at full speed. Loop 5 is about credit limit leverage. Most people treat their credit limit like a ceiling, the most they're allowed to spend. The wealthy treat it like a negotiation, not a fixed number. Credit card companies routinely grant limit increases to cardholders who request them, especially those with consistent on-time payments and low utilization. The catch is most people never ask. A higher limit on the same spending lowers your utilization percentage automatically, and lower utilization means a better score, which unlocks better rates, better cards, and larger credit lines in a compounding cycle.
One phone call, one request, every 12 to 18 months. It's one of the simplest habits in personal finance with one of the most direct impacts on long-term credit health. Loop 6 is the rewards optimization layer. This one is less about score mechanics and more about treating your spending like an investment portfolio, allocating each type of purchase to the card that returns the most on that specific category. Groceries on one card, gas on another, travel on a third. Most high-reward cards offer 2 to 5% back on specific categories. Run $50,000 a year through that system and the returns become genuinely meaningful. Some people fund entire vacations, flights, hotels, car rentals, entirely through points accumulated on everyday purchases they were going to make anyway. The spending didn't change, the return on it did. And here's the invisible habit underneath all of it. Loop 7. It's not a strategy you execute once. It's a rhythm that protects everything else you've built. The wealthy who use credit at a high level set up systems, not willpower. Auto-pay for the full statement balance, never the minimum. Alerts for any charge over a set threshold. A monthly 15-minute review of every statement. 15 minutes a month. That's the actual time investment required to maintain an 800-plus credit score and keep every loop running cleanly. Not hours, 15 minutes. Willpower runs out. Systems don't. That's the mindset difference that holds every other loop in place. And it's also the one most people underestimate when they're just getting started. So, here's your 30-day starting point. In the first week, find your statement closing date on every card you carry. Not your due date, your statement date. Then, schedule a payment a few days before it closes. In week 2, open a high-yield savings account if you don't already have one. Route your normal spending money there. Pay your card in full on its due date. Let the float work for you. Week 3, call your credit card company and request a limit increase on your oldest card. Be polite, have your income information ready. It takes about 10 minutes and often works on the first call. Week 4, audit where your spending actually goes by category. Then check if you have a card that rewards that category specifically. One card swap can immediately improve your return on spending you're already doing. 4 weeks, 4 habits. None of them require earning more money. All of them require paying slightly more attention to a tool you already have sitting in your wallet right now. Here's what I want to ask you, and genuinely think about this before you answer. What's one credit habit you've been running on autopilot that you now want to change? Drop it in the comments. I read every one of them. Credit isn't the enemy. Misunderstanding it is. The 7 loops in this video work because they follow the actual rules of the system. They just follow them deliberately instead of accidentally. If this gave you a clearer picture of how credit actually works as a tool, subscribe, because this channel exists to give you exactly this kind of practical, no-fluff financial clarity every single week. The understanding is yours now. The only thing left is what you actually do with it. And I genuinely believe you're going to do something real.